Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. On this episode, we're back on the big block Ford for our 69 Ford F100, aka Vicky. So let's get into what this is and where it came from. It's been long enough and enough of you are new enough. It's been about 3 years if I'm honest. A lot of people take 3 years to build engines, right? This is the 468-inch big block Ford that's going in our 69 F100, aka Vicky. And so where this thing came from, I'll put some video clips in here and I'll just kind of talk over it. This thing started life as a stock 97 EFI 460 out of either a F250 or 350 pickup or some kind of box van. I think they came in box vans. So this is a Core 97 460 that I picked up from a buddy for $200 because it was a Core motor that was turned in. It had blown head gaskets is what he told me. This thing was full milkshake, definitely had been ingesting some water, had water sitting in the bores, and yeah. So the only stuff that ended up getting reused was the block, the crank, the rods, which now have ERP hardware, and the pistons were not reused. The EFI heads, I tossed them, scrapped them. Not good for what I'm doing here. I picked up some sort of used Pro Comp aluminum heads on Facebook. Spent way too much time porting them. Ended up having to change the valve springs, have them decked, have a valve job done on them, all that stuff. I have a custom hydraulic flat tappet cam from Cam Research in Denver, Colorado. An Edelbrock Performer RPM air gap intake, comp high energy roller rockers, custom push rods now. I'll put a link up here at the top for the entire build series on this engine. I will also, for the 69 F100 behind me, which is getting a Crown Vic swap and slammed on the ground, in addition to this big block, I will put a link up here for that entire build series. I basically picked this truck up out of a field, got it running, brought it home, immediately started tearing it apart to build it into what it is going to be. Okay guys, we are finally back on the big block 460 build, allegedly 500 horsepower. If you read the comments, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we've got some parts here that you guys haven't even seen yet. I am just excited to get back on this as you guys are. So first we're going to do a little cleaning and we're going to get ready to bolt the heads on, which are back from the machine shop. So the first thing we're going to do is measure for push rod length. I have my solid flat tappet lifters that I showed you how to make for mock-up. Well, now I have also made push rods for mock-up. It's not the straightest, but it tries. So these were stock push rods, which are too short for this new setup with the new heads and everything. So we're going to put a couple nuts on here and we're going to use these as a push rod length checker, and we're going to show you how to do that. So let's get ahead on there and get started. Okay, here is one of our Cometic MLS head gaskets, 23 thousandths. And these are a Felpro MLS, which is multi-layer steel. First time I'm using these, so this is going to be a lot of firsts for me. First off, this is the first most serious engine that I've built. We're going to learn a lot of things together. MLS head gaskets are allegedly reusable if they don't get damaged. Now the reason I went with these is not because we're running boost or anything crazy like that, but because we need a very thin head gasket to keep our compression up. So arrow there is, arrows always go towards the front. We also want to make sure that we're not blocking any passages. We're just going to snug these dry at this point because all we're using them for is to hold the head down while we do our measurements. We'll snug them down. I'll bring you back when we're measuring the push rod length. Okay, so I rolled the engine over until the intake lobe, or sorry, is that the exhaust? Whatever the first one is, exhaust. Easy enough to see whatever the valve lines up with, whichever port, which exhaust port. That's which one you're on. So we've got this as collapsed as we can make it, and what we're gonna do is get the rocker at 90 degrees, and then I gotta find my little piece of paper and figure out how to do the rest of this. So we're pushing up on the rocker with the push rod. We're gonna keep tightening until we're parallel to the top of the valve retainer. Socket a little too, well, what do you want? That's what I got, okay? All right, you know what? Ugh. What other size of 11/16 socket would you like, sir? I don't know what else I can do for you here. Ugh. Why don't you push those all the way out to the garbage and throw them away? That would be good. Okay. I had to just shut you off for a minute there because I had a brain cramp. But anyway, I'm not going to talk anymore when I'm trying to do this intake valve because this is seriously hurting my brain. But I believe I have this one figured out, and it's that long. I wrote an E on there for exhaust and marked it so that if it moves when I'm turning it over, I'll know. But that needs to be that long. You can see the convenient line on the side of the rocker arm there. Close enough to 90, looks like to me. Okay. You may be asking yourself, why do we have two sets of comp rocker arms sitting here? Well, if you recall these guys that I showed you in the first video of the budget 500 horsepower 460 build, these were the budget option from Comp, supposed to be 1.7 roller rockers for big block Ford. They also say they fit big block Chevy, which is a bit curious, but anyway, well, they don't fit big block Ford, so I'll show you why here in a minute. So here are our second set of Comp 1.7 roller rockers, and these ones are the high energy. So here you go, 1411. They do not fit, at least with aftermarket heads with screw-in studs. So what had happened was, I was trying to measure pushrod length. I was able to get it measured on the exhaust rocker, but the geometry was real ugly looking. On the intake side, when I tried to measure pushrod length, what was actually happening was the stud was bottoming out on the rocker body before I was even able to get my push rod length measured. So it just wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. The internet agrees that they don't work for big block Fords, but for some reason comp still says that they do. So here is the old stamped steel one with a roller tip. Here is my new high energy aluminum rocker. So this one will have an actual trunnion, needle bearings here, and roller here on the tip, and an aluminum body. Should be totally fine for what I'm doing. I am not running a lot of spring pressure or RPM, which is where you would really want a stronger rocker. So if we center up where the push rod goes and the center of the body, look at how much shorter that guy is than that one. These are both 1.7 roller rockers, okay? They should be pert near identical. Let's throw this one on there, see what it looks like. I will put in some footage of me trying to set it up with the other rockers and show you how ugly it looks. You know, the first one, I was able to get a push rod measured. It actually ended up wanting to be shorter than the stock ones, which don't seem right. I got the second one, started to adjust it the mid-lift way. This line actually is real nice for making sure you have the rocker level. Now this one isn't anymore because I tightened it down more than that. So set it mid-lift, and for the intake, I needed to go 5.14 turns. I made it about 4 turns, and the rocker was bottomed out on the stud. These might work for stock Ford heads, I don't know. They will not work for this setup. Taking these back off, and I guess I'm gonna order the next up budget level comp die cast rocker arms. From basically the fulcrum here to the roller tip is longer, and there's no way that this one's gonna work. I want to clarify real quick the mid-lift method that we are doing to find our push rod length, okay, with our roller rockers. So the numbers aren't going to be the same for you guys doing this. This is how it works with the cam that I have, right? Half of my exhaust lift at the valve is 273 thousandths. That's half. So what we're doing is taking that half lift, and after we put the rocker parallel to the top of the valve spring retainer, which is perpendicular to the valve, right? We're going to set that rocker there at 90 degrees. Then what we're going to do is we are using 7/16 rocker studs, okay? Which every full turn revolution per how many threads are on there gives you 50 thousandths of movement. 50 thousandths movement, okay? So what we're doing is taking our half lift and dividing it by 50 thousandths, and that gives us, on the exhaust, 5.46 turns, so just under 5.5, close enough to 5.5 to not really matter. After we set our rocker at 90 degrees, we're going to tighten the rocker arm nut down 5.5 turns, which is half of our lift, so that moves the rocker down halfway through the lift of the exhaust lobe, and then we pick zero, we get 0 lash with our adjustable rocker there, and that gives us our push rod length. I don't 100% understand how it works. I kind of do, but it works, and it works great. So great, in fact, that with the wrong push rod length, we were only getting about 498 thousandths lift on the exhaust side, I believe it was, and 443 on the intake, which is not good, because that's not what our cam card calls for. Now, after correcting the push rod length and mocking it up with our adjustable push rods and checking it again, guess what? We were right on the money. So that's how much lift you're giving up by having too short of push rods. Like on the exhaust side, I think it was about 50 thousandths, and on the intake side, probably about 50 thousandths as well, maybe a little bit more. So that's why it's so important. Now the intake side, 515 lift is what we have there. Divided by 2 is 0.257, okay? And that math with our 50 thousandths per turn on our 7/16 studs gives us 5.14 turns. So that is how much we turned the intake one down after 90 degrees, and then we measured there. Okay, we're going to have sort of a mid-video officer tribute in this video, and we will do this in the next one as well. It's been an incredibly violent spring already for police officers in the state of Montana. So today we're going to talk about Trooper Lewis Johnson of the Montana Highway Patrol. On February 16th, 2023, Trooper Johnson was run over by a fleeing felon during a pursuit. His injuries included a punctured lung, damaged liver, head injury, broken ribs, a broken arm and leg, and severe spinal trauma. He was on life support for a short time. A Lincoln County deputy on the scene is credited with life-saving measures given to Trooper Johnson immediately after the incident. Trooper Johnson has served 8 years with the Montana Highway Patrol. There is a GoFundMe account for the Johnson family. I will put a link in the description of this video. Trooper Johnson has a long recovery ahead of him, and any assistance would be greatly appreciated. Okay, we want our rocker arm parallel to the top of the valve stem. How's that look from your guys' angle? Pretty good? That looks good. Again, I'm blatantly copying Derek at Vice Grip Garage, so intake side 5.14. I'm gonna come around to the other side for this part. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 5.14, so 5 1/4 would be there. We're about halfway in between, which would be there. Put a mark on the outside because I had other random marks from doing this before, and I don't want to be confused. Okay, she stopped there, so we'll back it off just a hair. I tell you what, we'll do all the rolling over stuff after. How's about that? And getting our marks on our valve stems, and we have to clay it anyway for clearance. So the most accurate way I found to measure this without having the proper tools, because we just have our homemade pushrod length checker, is that the internet says that stock pushrods, intake and exhaust both, are 8.550. So what we're doing is measuring how much longer this one is than the stock one, is what we're doing. Okay. So the tip is against the stock pushrod flat spot of the ball. The body of the caliper is against the top flat spot of my checker. And we have two 950, so 0.029. So we'll call that 300 thou, right? So disregard this. So intake, $300,000ths longer, so 8,550 plus 300 thousandths, 8.850. You need to totally disregard the stuff I said yesterday about adding preload to that. I am used to dealing with I'm used to dealing with pedestal mount rockers because I'm a Ford guy. And that's a pedestal mount rocker thing. We do not need to add preload with stud mount rockers. we will adjust that with the nut. So there you go. There's intake side. Let's do the exhaust, which I think is going to be 8.9. Over to the wood bench there. Nope, the wood one. Take a right. Keep going. Okay, I need you to grab those little plastic tubs on the wood bench. Okay. Do you want to pick them or what?
What do you mean?
We're going to put that in the engine.
I'll pick them.
Okay, what do you want to pick a color? Or do you want to use both of them or what?
Both of them.
We're going to put Play-Doh in the engine. What do you think about that?
Both.
Okay. Here's our Play-Doh. This is the first time I've actually done this. Like I know how to do it. I know the process. Here.
It's fun.
Probably about yay much. So put this back. How about if we do green for the intake and pink for the exhaust, since the exhaust is hot?
All of the pieces we don't use, maybe I could play with.
Yeah. So we're going to make a chunk about yay big. I'm really kind of guessing here. And we're going to squish it on there.
This is fun.
Okay, what do you got? You got some exhaust for me? Let me see it. Okay.
It's like making the burger and cheese.
Oh, like making a burger patty?
Mhm.
You're my helper for burger patties, aren't you?
Mhm.
Okay, I think that's pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's crank the engine over a little bit to get those a little bit down.
I guess the green one, right?
So we got to put our head gasket on here again.
Can see it all.
You can see it all.
Mhm.
Do you know what why we're putting Play-Doh in the engine?
Nope.
Yeah.
Measure it.
Oh, okay. What do you think we're measuring?
Stuff.
Stuff. You don't have any idea what we're measuring, but we're measuring something with it.
An engine.
Okay. And how do you know that? Because you've heard me talk about it, or
I don't know.
is that just your educated guess?
That's my educated guess.
Okay. Well, you're a smart boy. We are measuring stuff. Okay.
Such as?
Such as, it's called piston to valve clearance.
Right.
So what we're going to do now...
Piston rods?
No.
I know what the piston rods are.
It's not the piston rods.
I know what the piston rods are. They're those things that go up and down when you're driving the car.
Yes. That's where the power gets turned into energy. You're a smart boy. Okay, do you want to help me put these in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We got some studs.
They go in there.
They do.
I should show it to the camera. They go right behind these springy looking things.
Okay, so the short ones go in here. What? Come in. What are you doing? Helping. Oh, okay.
And also, there's another. There's also another person joining us.
Okay. There's those. So we need nuts and washers.
Nuts.
What's wrong with you? Here you go.
What are we putting them on again?
These studs. Right here. Not these ones. These ones.
Which way did they go on?
The flat part goes to the bottom.
Okay.
Oh, choose the second part. Wait, are we missing one? Oh, there's no stud there.
Yeah, we don't need all of them. We're just doing mock-up.
I think I got one pretty good there.
Yep.
Oh.
I gotta make sure this thing is facing up. Okay. So you take it,
It looks like
and it goes on that bolt right there.
looks like a dinosaur that I know what name it is.
Like a stegosaurus.
No.
Okay. Let's tilt this guy up now. And we gotta...
Pterosaur.
Do you think you can turn the engine over, Roni? Or should we have Bryce do it?
I think I can turn
Yeah,
it.
I think Ryan can do it.
Okay, lift on that. You want to pull up.
There we go.
Okay, keep going.
I had to do this under the car.
Oh, when you guys were doing the transmission?
I was
Can you put that pin in the hole there?
It was in the front end and I had to do it with the...
Okay, yep, tighten it down. Keep going. We're going to tighten it until I can't rock this. Okay, good? Okay. Oh, now tighten that one. You ever heard of Science with Gonson?
Mm-mm.
On how ridiculous?
Nope.
This is Science with Dad. Now we need to roll the engine over a couple times. So this guy, clockwise.
Okay. Why me? You got more muscles than me.
Are you sure? Because you seem to think that you have more muscles than me.
When?
All the time. Oh,
How many times?
yeah, I found the 15/16.
How many times?
Do you want to ratchet?
No. How many times?
7. This is easier if you want to use this. Just keep going until I tell you to stop. Okay. Roni, go around the other side. Now watch over here. Try not to shake it around a whole lot. See, our valves are going to actuate.
This is very loose. Like, I don't think it should be able to do that.
See? So this is how it works. See
I
the
just-
camshaft turning?
It's burping at me.
And it's shaped like an egg. See, now it's coming up to the top. That's what pushes the lifter up, which then pushes the valve down because of the rocker arm.
Shouldn't you be showing him this? I know this. I've seen this.
Yeah, I am showing him.
And it keeps burping
I
at
don't
me.
think he's looking.
Keep going. Watch this. Though, watch. Now it's farting at you.
My back hurts.
All right, you want
I
me to
just
go a couple?
noticed that
No.
sign.
Well, then shut up. What sign? This one?
Yeah.
What's it say? Read it.
Joshua talking on me.
That's right.
Others will be told.
Right in front of Vicky.
I like that sign best.
Okay, that's probably good.
Go, I found it.
Okay, go get it. Pretty sure I know this.
Okay, Roni, if the gasket that we put on there, you know this guy, if it tries to fall, you catch it, okay? So you want to have your hand right there. How's our Play-Doh look?
Good.
Vibrant.
Flattened.
The exhaust valve didn't even touch. That was the edge of the chamber right there, I think. Did I mention this is the first time I've done this? So, yeah, right. Oh, dude, don't mess it up, bud. We got to measure it. Okay? So this has got to be the edge of the chamber. Because you see the way that it kind of mushed it there? That was from hitting the edge of the chamber. So, yeah, that's not a valve squish, because it would be more like this. So the intake just barely touched. So can you guess what we need to do now?
Measure it.
Measure. So don't touch, Roni. You muppet. We're gonna cut this guy.
Precision.
And then Roni's gonna eat it. Just kidding. Okay. So
It's like a tiny piece.
that is how much clearance we have for the valve. A ton. I'm gonna measure it just so that I can say I did, but it is not even close. So for the intake, where it touched at the top right there, almost 500 thousandths. Here you go, sir. Your Play-Doh.
No, you have red in there.
Oh no, well he can fix it. This side, which is the exhaust valve,
Get it all out.
it did not indent. So we'll just measure how thick the whole thing is. 0.44. So we have over 400 thousandths on both sides, which is a ton. So good deal. Not worried about that at all. And Roni?
Yeah?
You guys want the Play-Dohs? Or should we keep... No, don't mix them. Should we keep them? Should we keep them in the shop for shop Play-Doh?
Yes.
Okay. That was it, guys.
Say goodbye. I'm kidding. You sure? Because you usually say,
help put back.
that's it, and then as soon as I'm walking out the door, you're like, wait! You missed.
Okay, can you cut that off, please?
Okay. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
While I install and torque heads for the final time, I'll talk about where we're headed with this project and what you guys can do to help if you so desire. In the next episode, we recheck cam timing, finish the valve train, and final assemble the engine so we can get it in the truck for mock-up. We will also review all the parts used in the end and the engine project total. The goal was to make 500 horsepower on an everyman sort of budget. I have located an engine dyno service in the eastern part of Montana willing to work with me, but it's a costly endeavor. If you would like to contribute to dyno expenses, there will be several ways to do so. I plan to do the first ever merch drop with t-shirts featuring this big block Ford build. All proceeds will go to the dyno expenses. Also, if these next two 460 videos get 500 likes or 5,000 views between them, we will dyno the engine anyway. If we hit 7,500 subscribers within a month of the second video, we will do the dyno. So tell your friends, like the video, and subscribe, all of which are free. I may look at a GoFundMe for the dyno costs, but that seems a bit slimy. Let me know what you think in the comments, leave a comment or suggestion, and also any questions that I will try to address in the next video. As always, thank you all for watching. See you on the next one.